He scored! He's around the outside! And he scored! He scored! App State wins! Holy mother meatballs!
Welcome back to the A-Game. I'm Lucas Warren.
I'm Ryan Hendricks.
And I'm Nick Goodman.
App State men's basketball players Justin Abson and Trayvon Spillers have both entered the transfer portal. The men's team is coming off one of its best seasons to date, and with many players graduating or departing, what can we expect from the Mountaineers next season?
Yeah, there's no way around it, but losing Trayvon Spillers, losing Justin Abson, losing Jordan Marsh, that's a huge deal for this App State team. You can't just go into the portal or go into the high school ranks and find anybody that can replace Trayvon Spillers' scoring and rebounding combination, that can replace Justin Abson's shot blocking combination, or even replace Jordan Marsh's speed on top of all of that. App will likely get CJ Huntley back for next season, and they will have a promising player in the front court in Luke Wilson, who is someone who would have been in the rotation this season if he didn't redshirt. But there's a big question, and we don't know at the moment what's going to happen with Coach Kearns. But some of these transfers all happening on the same day isn't a great sign.
Yeah, it's honestly heartbreaking seeing this team just completely get dismantled this quickly after the season ending. You know, you have one of the best seasons in program history. You set the record for wins. You go undefeated at homes, and then now it feels like a lot of the things we built up this season might get torn down after just one successful season. And just to ask another question, I would like to hear what you guys think about this. What do these mid-majors do at this point? In the transfer portal world now that we're in college basketball, these teams get built up and then torn down so quickly. I look at a team like St. Peter's a couple years ago where their coach immediately gets hired by Seton Hall, their Doug Edert goes to Bryant, and then last year you have Farley Dickinson, their coach, gets hired to Iona. It's just, I don't know what these mid-majors do. Do you know? Have any ideas, Ryan?
Well, I don't think there's anything they can do. There's something you just have to live with, because these major schools, they're going to have more money than App State. Let's be honest. If you're a guy like Justin Abson or Trayvon Spillers and USC Chapel Hill's coming to talk to you, you're going immediately. And same goes for Coach Kearns. If Coach Kearns gets a job like a Louisville or a job like a Florida Atlantic even, I feel like, hey, the money talks, he's out of here. As sad as that is to say. So the best thing for these mid-majors to do is just be consistently at least near the top of your conference. Be consistent in culture-wise. Consistently have fans in the building to be able to do things to get players to want to come here, because if you're packing out homes like you were this year, players are going to want to come play here, even if it's some guys that didn't really pan out at like an NC State or a Duke. Guys that don't pan out can still contribute to a team like App State, even if we lose guys like Trayvon Spillers. It really stinks that stuff like that happens, but you just got to live with it. It's what you live with in the modern day, being a mid-major and not having as much money. But guys, let's go from the hardwood to the gridiron. The NFL draft is swiftly approaching in the coming weeks, and teams are gearing up to make their picks. Caleb Williams likely to be first overall, but who are some of the players and teams you have your eyes on?
Yeah, I think this draft is headlined by quarterbacks and wide receivers. There's a lot of talented picks, and it seems like these quarterbacks just keep rising the draft boards like they do when draft time comes. Caleb Williams is obviously the number one pick, and the Chicago Bears are going to draft him. There's been some debate whether they should have kept Fields. Well, now Fields is no longer in the building, and they are going to draft Caleb Williams. I think this is the best move for them. I think you have to just keep taking these guys until you get a hit, and I think there's a good chance Caleb Williams is going to hit. Recently, Jaden Daniels has been the guy that has jumped ahead of Drake May, even though Drake May was initially looked at as the number 2 quarterback, but people like the 1 year he had at LSU was just really great. He has more of a running ability than a guy like Drake May, so it's looking like he's going to go to Washington and Drake May might fall to 3 to the Patriots. But a team I have my eye on to trade up maybe into that top 3 is the Las Vegas Raiders. They need a franchise quarterback, and in that Las Vegas market, they just need a face for that franchise.
Yeah, after trading away Justin Fields for basically just a 6th-round pick, the Bears are very obviously going to end up picking Caleb Williams, who was long regarded as the top prospect in this draft class and a very highly regarded prospect no matter what draft class you're talking about. It's going to be interesting to see what happens at the 2nd overall pick between both Drake May and Jaden Daniels, as Drake May, for the longest time, it felt like he was clearly QB2, but after Jaden Daniels had his Heisman season, it feels like there's a bit of steam being gained in his direction that implies that he might be the second overall pick over Drake May, even though May has been the better player, more consistent player over a longer stretch of time. One thing I wanted to address, though, is the wide receiver class. I mean, this wide receiver class is ridiculous, led by Marvin Harrison Jr. and also Malik Neighbors. I mean, it's just wild that we have someone like Xavier Worthy on top of that, who's broke the combine record for a 40-yard dash. And we're not talking about him because these guys in Harrison and Malik Neighbors are both so good, along with Romeo Odunze and many other players. So expect wide receivers to go off the board left and right.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nick. And I'm just looking at this quarterback class, and I think it's a lot better than we even expected at the start. Because what I'm looking at right now, I think top four, all four quarterbacks that we regard as the top guys are going to go. Because I look at the Commanders, and Ohio State fans aren't going to like it, but I think they like J.J. McCarthy right now. I think J.J. McCarthy, he just worked his way up in the pre-draft process, because that's when you look at the athleticism. You look at the arm strength. He threw 61 miles an hour at the combine, and teams are starting to fall in love with him despite what the tape says. So I think J.J. McCarthy is going to go all the way up to 2. Jaden Daniels is going to go at 3, and then maybe if you're the Minnesota Vikings, you're going to jump up there, go get you a Drake May before the Giants can get him at 6.
All right, transitioning from football to basketball. March Madness has been nothing but entertaining thus far, and there still are plenty of games to be played. What are the teams you have been surprised by, and who's going to come out on top?
The teams I've been surprised by is NC State right now. Nick, I know you hate me to say I'm surprised that you made it this far as an NC State fan, but just look at what this team has done. We didn't even expect them to make March Madness, much less make the Sweet 16 and knock off the teams they did in Texas Tech, and they got an easy draw with Oakland, let's be honest, because they knocked out Kentucky. But still, for NC State to make it this far, it has been an amazing run, and DJ Burns, go get at him, big man, because you're making it happen for NC State. As for taking it all home at the end of the day, I know y'all like UConn. Lucas, I know you like UConn. Nick, you do as well, but I'm going with them Tar Heels out at UNC. I think Armando Bacot and the boys are going to get it done. RJ Davis going to show why he's the real best player in the country, not that man Zach Edey out in Purdue, who's about to choke, by the way. So I just think UNC is going to get it done this year and bring another title back home to the Dean Dome.
Yeah, I look at the I look at the UConn Huskies as the favorite. They've looked great through 2 games, and I don't know if you saw the halftime after they were up 52-19, I believe, and Hurley is ripping his team, saying the defense isn't good. They just seem like they're on a path to the championship game. The team I see that could possibly anoint them, UNC looks really good right now. Surprisingly, Purdue playing great ball, and their 3-point shot has looked very good in this tournament. They look like a complete team. So I look at one of those 1 seeds to really challenge. I know UNC will face them in the Final Four if that ends up happening, but those are the 2 teams I really look at. Houston once again looks a little bit iffy. I know that's a take you like to have, Ryan, but they did. Sure. I know you like to say this. They did everything they could to lose that game to Texas A&M, but they found a way. I do think they beat Duke, though. I think they punched Duke in the mouth, similar to the way we saw the Vols do it last year.
Yeah, just one thing I've taken away just from this tournament so far as we head into the Sweet 16 is just how chalky it is this year. I mean, all the 1 seeds are still alive. All of the 2 seeds are still alive.
Boring.
There's only been 1 3 seed that's been eliminated in Kentucky. I mean, that's one thing I've looked at, and I'm been a little bit disappointed in. Hopefully that will lead to better matchups down the line in this tournament. I will also say the ACC, everybody's been talking about how that conference is down and how that conference doesn't have any contenders.
Every year in, year out, ACC is going to make it happen.
Yeah, they're 8-1 in the tournament right now. The only team that lost was Virginia in the first 4.
Well, that ain't no surprise.
As UNC, Duke, Clemson, and State are all in the Sweet 16 from that league. And then I also wanted to add on how the SEC has just flamed out bad. They're 5-6 in this NCAA tournament, and only 2 teams, Tennessee and Alabama, are remaining from that conference.
Yeah, it's just interesting, you said it, but every year we have a team in the Final Four that plays for the ACC, and somehow the ACC is the worst conference, Power 5 conference in basketball. But stay where you are. We'll be back with the A Game.
Now we're going to take a look at some sports bets. With online sports betting legal in North Carolina, I'll give you my top picks on the A Game here on Bear Down Bets. Today, I'll give you my picks on all of tonight's games in the college basketball Sweet 16, beginning with NC State, who takes on Marquette. Marquette sits as 6.5-point favorites, and I really do like Marquette here. NC State's been on a magical run, but Marquette's offense has become one of the best in the league. They had a great Big East tournament run without their best player in Tyler Kolek. Now he's back. this team's going to move really fast. DJ Burns on NC State, he's going to be great on offense, but a defensive liability with how quick this Marquette team moves. Marquette had a 73% shooting percentage against Colorado. NC State, who's bottom 200 in the nation at defense at the rim, is going to struggle against that. And let's also take a real quick peek at the over-under in this game. It currently sits at 150.5. Essentially how that works is it's the total points from both teams is going to be over or under 150. For the reasons I mentioned with Marquette, I do like the over. NC State has also scored the ball. They average over 1 point per possession in this 7-game win streak, so I like the over there. Now in the next game, my top pick in the over-under in Gonzaga versus Purdue, we're looking at over-under 154.5. And that's the one that I really want to break down here. I really like this game to go over. 154.5 is a huge number, but I think it's worthy of a game like this. Gonzaga plays quick, and they can put up points really, really fast. We saw that against Kansas. Zaga scored 40-plus points in both halves against Kansas. I like them to do something like that again. Purdue has become one of the best three-point shooting teams in the country. I think this game goes over. Now, my pick in Duke versus Houston is again, now we're going to look at the line. Duke is 4.5-point underdogs. Essentially what that means is if Duke is able to win or keep it within 4 points, that bet wins. If Houston wins by 5 or more, that bet wins. And I like Duke to cover here. Houston has one of the best defenses in the country. Houston has one of the best defenses in the country. Duke's actually been playing as one of the best defenses lately. But Houston, despite their great defense, my issue is their offense. They really get stale at times, and if I have to rely on an offense out of these two teams to really pick it up, it's going to be Duke. So even though I might take Houston to win, I like Duke to cover, at least keep it tight. And finally, Creighton sits as 2.5-point underdogs versus Tennessee. Tennessee has to win by 3 or more to win. Creighton has to either win the game or stay within 2 points, and that bet wins. And in this one, I really do like Creighton. I like the underdog again. Creighton has big wins in the regular season against UConn and Marquette. They're one of the best shooting teams in the country. And Tennessee, my worry with them is Dalton Knecht. We saw it against Texas, for example, and throughout the SEC tournament. When Knecht gets cold, if he's not on, Tennessee doesn't really have the depth to back him up. I like Creighton to cover. I even like Creighton to win. So there are your bets for the games tonight to look out for. Stay where you are. We'll be looking at the games on a who's going to win basis next on the A Game.
The Sweet 16 is slated to begin this evening. Let's take a look at the upcoming games. Starting off with NC State versus Marquette. Who you got?
Well, I'm going with the NC State Wolfpack. They've won 7 straight elimination games in 11 days. They are red hot. And you've got 2 DJs on the team. And let me tell you, they are putting on a show on the court. DJ Horn and DJ Burns. Those are 2 guys you have to watch out for when they're playing. Horn is averaging 40% from the 3-point line, and DJ Burns has been the face of this run. He's putting up nearly 13 points a game. I've got the Wolfpack pulling out a big win and advancing to the Elite 8.
NC State had to play 5 back-to-back games just to get into the tournament. At some point, they're going to have to burn out. I mean, they had to win their conference championship just to get into the tournament. And on the contrary, I wasn't sure how well Marquette was going to do, but the Golden Eagles guard, Tyler Kolek, has completely proved me wrong, because I thought with his injury in late February, missing 6 games, I didn't know how he was going to play in the tournament because it was his first game back in the first round, but he completely surprised me.
Well, the ACC is showing up right now in the Sweet 16 right now, and that's why I'm showing up for NC State. They put in a good run right now. I was like, what is it? They've won 7 straight. Sure, they went 5 straight games in a row, back to back to back. But also, I mean, like, come on. I was like, they've got the momentum. Marquette's just sort of creeping along right now, going in with some easy-seeded games. NC State's been fighting pretty hard right now, and Oakland put up a pretty big fight, too. So, go Wolfpack.
Tip-off for that game is at 7:09 p.m. Next up, we have Gonzaga taking on Purdue. Who wins this one? Holland, we'll start with you.
I got Gonzaga in this one. I know that they didn't have the season that they probably wanted to have. And so far, Purdue hasn't shown any weaknesses so far, I will admit, in the tournament. But when you look at Gonzaga in the tournament as well, neither have they. And I got to say, I'm pretty impressed.
I don't know. I don't even think that even goes up to show. I feel like Gonzaga was a team where, you were just looking at them and they're nowhere close to where they've been performing over the past few years. I mean, like, they were like predicted to win the whole tournament all at once. I mean, I just don't understand how you don't see Zach Edey taking the Boilermakers back to the Elite Eight.
Well, I found a way because I don't see him taking them back to the Elite Eight. I've got Gonzaga winning this game as well, and I don't think preseason predictions mean much anyways. Gonzaga just completely destroyed Kansas by 21 points in an 89-68 victory. They're very well-rounded, and they've got Graham Ike, who's averaging over 16 points a game. Give me the Bulldogs.
Tip-off for that game is set for 7:39 p.m. The Duke Blue Devils will take on the number 1 ranked Houston Cougars. Can Duke pull off this win, or will Houston run away with it? Dylan, we'll start back with you.
Okay, well, I've got the Houston Cougars winning this one. Duke may be the better shooting and assisting team overall in this matchup. The percentages favor Duke for that. And Jared McCain may be playing a very great tournament. But I've got Houston. I picked them to win them all in my bracket, so I kind of have to go with them here. Jamal Shead and LJ Cryer, they have been tearing it up on the court. They are a great 1-2 punch for that team. And of course, Houston's been known for their stout defense all year. I expect a bounce back game on that end after allowing 95 points to Texas A&M and going to overtime against the Aggies. I think the Houston Cougars will advance to the Elite Eight on their way to their first national title.
44 foul shots. That's how many shots that the Cougars put up. If you put Duke on the line 44 times, they're gonna make most of them. Like, they're one of the best shooting teams in the nation right now. I don't understand how you can't give Duke winning this game.
I'm sorry, UNC family, but I'm gonna have to go with Duke on that.
Oh my gosh.
It hurts my heart. It hurts my heart to say that, but Jared McCain is on fire, and I've been waiting ever since his first game at Duke for the Jared McCain game. And I think the last game that we saw in the second round, he gave us just that.
Finally, we have Creighton taking on Tennessee. Who takes the victory in this matchup? Holland, will start back with you.
You could really go either or with this one, but I'm going to have to go with Tennessee here just because they've been so dominant this season. And then Dalton Connect, he's been shooting 40% from three nearly. And then at the same time, he's shown a wide range of ways that he can score the ball at the very same time. So he's averaging 22 or 20 points per game in the tournament within these first few games. So I'm very excited to see what this kid's not only going to do for the rest of the tournament, but I think he's going to be a great NBA player as well.
I agree with you, Holland. I've got the Tennessee Volunteers as well. I also have my eye on Dalton Connect, as I'm pretty sure the entire nation does. He is must-watch TV, probably one of the most electric players in college basketball at the moment. He will be the guy to watch in this game. But if he's cold during this game, it can get very ugly very fast for Tennessee. We saw that in the SEC tournament. We saw that against Texas when they only won by 4 points. However, they did squeak that out. So give me the Volunteers. Why not?
You know, I think y'all are both wrong, and I'm just going to stand up for the Blue Jays right now. Creighton is going to win this game. Now, we see this. This is going to be what we said. This will probably be the closest matchup out of all the games that we just sort of talked about. And this is, I'm going to give y'all a fact right now, 78% as a team at the free throw line. And I was like, and they commit the least amount of fouls that are left with the NCAA teams right now left in the bracket. What do we see every single time as we get down to the end of one of these games? It goes to the free throw line. It's like the fouls start coming out. Everything gets a little bit dirty. So I was like, coming down to the line. Creighton's already beat UConn once this year, and they were ranked number 1. So give me Creighton to take the W.
So it should be a close one and a really good one to cap off the night. Tip-off for that game is set for 10:09 p.m. Stay where you are. When we get back, we'll hear from Cody and Hunter for the weekly rundown.
Welcome to this week's rundown. Cody, run us down the mountain.
Happy to. Just this week, the NFL announced 2 big rule changes that are receiving all kinds of backlash. The rules include eliminating the hip drop tackle, going against the requests of the NFLPA, and new kickoff rules where there's a landing zone and pushing up touchbacks again. Hunter, what do you think of the new rules?
Cody, I hate them. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to mix words either. The hip drop tackle, I get it. You want to be safe. But if your players are telling you, the guys that are actually making the plays, telling you, don't take this away, listen to them. And with the kickoff, it's all about safety, supposedly with the NFL. I don't like the moves. I just don't.
Yeah, you can really get that vibe, especially when it's the players saying we don't want the changes. You're trying to make things safer, and I respect that and understand it. But when it's the NFLPA that's against it, it makes playing defense really hard, and that's happening in multiple sports. And then with the kickoff rule, I get the landing zone making you kind of want to return it, but these guys are going to kick it in the end zone anyways, and you're moving up the touchback. It doesn't make sense to me.
A lot of talent in NFL, just like this tournament as well. March Madness is now in full swing. While there's been a lot of great moments, some are starting to complain about the lack of parity in this year's tournament. Going into the Sweet 16, all 4 1 and 2 seeds are still alive, along with 2 3s and 4 seeds. The rank of all these teams added up in the Sweet 16 is 53 this year, a stark contrast to the last year's 76. Which brings up the question, is more chalk in the tournament a good thing?
So I don't love it personally, and it makes sense that we've gotten to this point with the way that the stolen bids happen, and you're getting worse teams in those first couple of rounds because they got that automatic bid. But I don't love no Cinderella story really sucks. NC State still has a chance to make that kind of thing happen if they keep on going, but you really want the unpredictability. That's why we're here for March, and when you don't get that, it doesn't ruin the experience. It's still great, but it diminishes it a little. In case you missed it, online sports betting is now legal in the state of North Carolina. Many apps and sports books are going all across North Carolina, getting new players. Have you been taking part, and what's one of your favorite upcoming bets?
Oh, I've been taking part a lot. I whether it's good or bad, I am. I've had a lot of fun with it. I've been trying to do it little by little, but looking ahead, I got a little sprinkle on North Carolina to win the national championship, so we'll see if that works.
I actually have been as well, and we're going to go against each other here because one of my favorite bets that I've had since it's become legal in North Carolina is UConn to win the national championship. So potentially in a very interesting Final Four for the both of us.
Yeah, may the best 1 seed win, shall we? But looking into that, some baseball, while the Major League Baseball season technically started last week with the Dodgers and Padres matching up in the Seoul, South Korea series, the league's official opening day was this Thursday. Thus marks the start of a 162-game marathon for all Major League Baseball teams. Cody, is there a team this weekend that stands out to you to get an opening series win?
Yeah, I really like the Astros here in their first series. It's against the Yankees. The Yankees have made some improvements. Batting, getting Juan Soto is huge, but I'm still worried about their pitching. Meanwhile, I think I have a certain A tier for both the Dodgers and the Braves. After that, I really like the Astros right there in that kind of B tier top team.
Yeah, I'm taking the Orioles over the Angels. The Angels have really regressed since losing Shohei Ohtani. I think they're going to be okay. They've got a lot of young talent, but the Orioles, we know the guys on their team. They're household names now, and Corbin Burns is going game 1, so I think they're going to be just fine.
The local Carolina Panthers have had a long free agency with a decent amount of changes. Carolina traded Brian Burns for the 39th pick in this draft and a next year 5th. Then they improved the offensive line and picked up Deontay Johnson. Do you like the moves altogether for Carolina?
I really do, and I know that's kind of a hot take among some Charlotte fans. Shout out Luke Combs, but actually maybe not shout out Luke Combs. Anyways, I think you got to have a good line in the NFL. And if you look at the last 4 teams that were in the playoffs, they all had super good offensive and defensive lines. And we started that with those 2 guard pickups. And Deontay Johnson, a new change of scenery. I love that. Get another weapon for Bryce. So keep going.
I'm with you. I understand losing Brian Burns sucks, especially when you could have gotten him for 2 firsts a season ago, but that's not really on the new regime. So when you're looking at it, other teams knew that you had to get rid of him because he wasn't going to stay, and that's why the price diminished the way that it did. I like building the offensive line, getting one of the best separating wide receivers in the NFL. You're investing in your quarterback, your young quarterback who needs all the help he can get. I like the moves.
Sticking in the NFL offseason, let's look at the Justin Fields trade. The rumors can finally be put to rest because the Chicago Bears have decided to trade their young quarterback to the Pittsburgh Steelers, thus indicating that the organization is all in on picking a rookie quarterback with the first overall pick in this year's draft. Do we like the trade, and what can we expect out of Fields in the Steel City?
It's very interesting. I like the move that they're going in. I like being able to draft someone first. I really like Caleb Williams. I think he's going to be great for this team. Don't love the return. We thought it was going to be a lot more than what it was. With Justin Fields, it's a project where Russell Wilson will probably play next season, and then we see what happens with Fields. I'm just of the opinion, when you see a quarterback for 3 years and you're not getting what you hope to see, chances are you aren't going to.
Yeah, I'm on tape saying that they might have kept Fields and maybe seen what he could do with like a Marvin Harrison Jr., but at the end of the day, it was a good trade. It was a good trade for the Bears just to get rid of him. You can't have Caleb Williams and Justin Fields on the same team. So get him to the Steelers. He can sit behind Russell Wilson for a year. And then you know what? Mike Tomlin could have him on the right track. So we'll see what happens.
Now on the canvas, Jake Paul, who's still trying to find his footing in the boxing world, will take on one of the best boxers of all time, Mike Tyson. Now, Mike Tyson will be 58 years old at the time of the fight when it takes place on July 20th on Netflix. Are you intrigued?
Intrigued is a great word because that's exactly what I am. I'm interested to see how it goes. Now, I don't know what Jake Paul is going to do against a 58-year-old. I don't think it's going to move mountains in the boxing community, but it might be an interesting watch.
I think this is going to be a glorified sparring sesh. These guys aren't going to go all in. Mike Tyson's 58 years old. I don't think he's going to be going all in any means. And then Jake Paul, he doesn't really want to knock out a 58-year-old. And I don't think they really have a ton of animosity, even if they might fake it going into the fight. Not a great look for Jake Paul, who says he wants to take boxing seriously and it's not about the money and the celebrity. It kind of looks like it.
Yeah, exactly. Now let's go back to basketball, but this time professionally with the NBA. There's only 3 weeks remaining in the NBA regular season, but one team has already cemented their place in the postseason. That was the Boston Celtics earlier this week when they clinched the #1 overall seed in the Eastern Conference, giving themselves home court advantage through the rest of the Eastern Conference Finals at least. While the regular season has been incredible for them, some are still wondering if they can go to distance in the postseason. Cody, are you one of those people?
You got to question it after the past, but I really do like this team come postseason time this year. You have younger guys in Tatum and Brown who have played together for a while. Now they've finally gotten a lot of postseason experience, the good and the bad. I like the Porzingis trade when he comes back fully healthy. I think he's going to be a difference maker on this team. I think they won some trades in the offseason. They've only gained more experience. I think they're going to make a nice run in the postseason, and they're one of my favorites, which they should be if they're winning the 1 seed.
Exactly. I'm kind of shaky with them in the postseason. We'll see. I think they're going to make it far, but I don't know if the Bucks are going to challenge them, but I really want to see how the New York Knicks do in the postseason. We'll see how it goes at the end, but the Celtics are going to make it far in the postseason. I don't think there's any doubt.
App State baseball got one of the biggest series wins in school history last weekend. The Mountaineers went 2-1 against the number 13th ranked school in the country, Coastal Carolina. This included a win on Saturday and going 1-1 in a Sunday doubleheader. How big was the series win?
Oh, it was huge, and it kind of feels weird saying this, but I was so proud of the team as well because you play a Duke team on the road that is ranked one of the best teams in the country, and it's ugly. It's not very good. So you get another crack at a great team in the country. They're a Sun Belt opponent as well. You come out and you take 2 out of 3 games, and in that third game, you take them to 12 innings, and they have to score 17 runs to beat you. That is amazing. Pitching, we knew it was kind of going to be rough, but we were able to really get some runs up on that Chanticleer team.
I love what you said about being able to bounce back from the Duke game and not let their confidence falter at all going into a game or a series with another ranked opponent. They really, really held their own, obviously winning the series. They even controlled that third game a decent amount. So I think this team has proven that they have the bats to really hang with anyone, which they're going to have to in this tough, tough conference for baseball.
Exactly. After now moving from baseball to basketball, after getting bounced from the Sun Belt tournament early by Arkansas State, the App State men's basketball team headed to Winston-Salem to play Wake Forest in the NIT tournament. Unfortunately, the Mountaineers would go on to lose to the Deacs 87-76, ending what will go down as a historic season for the Mountaineers. After having some time to talk about it, what went wrong for App State?
Wake Forest was just able to wear them down, which is really, really unfortunate for this team. App State had such a great season, and they had such great fight in a lot of that second half. There was a Terrence Harcum 3 that really diminished the game to just a 1-possession game, that lead. But Wake Forest just had such a great offense, which they've had all season, especially at home. That game was in Winston-Salem, and that gave Wake Forest the advantage that they needed along with their offense to get that win.
Exactly. I think some people might have underestimated how good that Wake Forest team was, whether it was Kevin Miller dropping 30 points or Efton Reed just dominating down low in the post. We haven't seen players like that this season, and unfortunately, we didn't come out on top.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of The A Game.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram at AppTVInsta.